Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Disco Elysium with me, Bring It On.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Alright, let's continue to get a reality lowdown from Joyce. I've got some more questions about reality.
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
She's positively surprised. What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
She puts her finger to her lips, then points at you. Too late for what?
For the big time.
Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth. What's the big time?
The revolution.
She says. Huh. And what is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Who got shot in the head?
Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Truly a kerfuffle.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Lieutenant mumbles from behind his notes.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it.
I had a deluge too, in my head. Point to your little head.
Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse.
She blinks her green eyes. Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew.
She shakes her head.
The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
But when did he abdicate? I don't want to call him a coward if he abdicated before the revolution started. Smart king.
Yes. King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
She looks up to the sky, then inland at the crumbling city. Okay, and by liberals you mean?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
How did the liberals win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Wait, you just said the liberals already took everything.
The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people.
She stomps her rubber-booted foot. Who are the coalition?
The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-le-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
Moralist.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
Not just technically, practically. For a moment, there was hope.
A devout man of the center. Hard to come by. It's good to have someone who takes a moderate approach to head shooting. In your line of work, I mean.
I've only killed 3 people, according to my sticker. Which Kim says is pretty good for someone who's been in my line of work for as long as I have been. Anyway, she nods. When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question.
She smiles mischievously.
The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end, nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
Who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Marzolf came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Zarath do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
Wow, really?
Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Marzolf's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
What came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
She spreads her arms, raincoat flapping in the wind.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
Our lives are very different from each other.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
What is the zone of control?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
What happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eslary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Wait, you're saying it's been like this for 43 years.
Time flies.
What have we been doing all that time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to 19 was simply hell.
And after that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
Then you happened. Your youth in the 30s.
That's when they discovered disco.
Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An Isla-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are.
She curtsies.
Welcome to reality, baby.
Alright, so I think we discovered a new thought that I didn't read last episode, right? Yamai-Vu? I believe I'm saying that correctly. It's a provincial special administrative region, the Caillou, the Insulindian Ocean, Coalition Government, Insulindian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. I feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Truvant, the Apricot Company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners, see if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts. The one you truly must complete. Well, then we will do so. Yeah, because when we first discovered that one, it said, this feels like a thought you have to know, or have to solve. Oh wait, it gives me a whole list of these things here. I did not even notice. Like, I saw the words here, but I didn't read into it. Oh, holy crap, there are a ton of thoughts. Hobo Cop, Aces High, Aces Low, Torque Dork. Some of these things seem pretty obvious. So some kind of superstar. There's been a lot of dialogue where I can call myself a superstar. I assume that's how I unlock that. Cop of the Apocalypse. I've seen a lot of apocalyptic dialogue as well. Some of them I have no idea, but some of them I think are pretty straightforward. Fairweather T500. Isn't that the armor that the Hanged Man is wearing? So maybe it has something to do with that armor. Huh. I should look through this at some point.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
Which side was Wild Pines Group on?
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not.
They chose wisely.
Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom.
You would have sided with the king.
I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was.
She thinks.
10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company.
She narrows her eyes, turning her gaze to the future out of professional habit. All she can see are vague outlines of a great winding down. The doldrums. People killed, but no great transitions of wealth. It makes her feel old, and something else. Something you can't put your finger on.
What would you have done differently?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
She cranes her neck. Yeah, I asked you. Who are you in all this?
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
I guess I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Zaroth drove those people mad.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with a technology 50 years ago?
She calculates. I guess with some hygiene, modest social care, and perhaps a little research program.
Good hygiene. Really. A very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Marzorf and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
The lieutenant puts down his notes for a moment.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
She turns to him.
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable.
She nods. Right, that's enough about the times.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
What is this acute encephalopathy?
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective. In case he goes down later, souring the entire portfolio.
I know you've got a lot riding on me. I won't let you down.
It's not just me, Detective. All of Martinez has placed its chips on your success. I pray we've all bet wisely.
What causes encephalopathy?
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
It's definitely the drinking.
She nods slowly. What this boils down to is, this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your throat. Yes, and lie about it too, to her.
Why would I want to lie about it? Yeah, wipe that urge from your mind and get back to reality.
She stares at you, head tilted to the side, with a slightly concerned look on her face.
So I only have a 42% chance. I'll take the shot. Think of something close to you.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
I want to know what you are. She hums. What are you?
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants.
She says with a sudden flash of teeth.
I am an ultra.
Wait, what's an ultra?
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind.
Dios mio. Draw a cross. A liberal.
Yes. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists.
She nods slowly.
I can see you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You're a centrist at heart. A real moralist, no? Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening?
She looks into your eye.
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
I forgive you.
I do hope so. I hope we're able to remain collegial despite it. Remember, we were partners, whether you like to admit it or not. There's blood on many hands, I assure you.
She bows.
When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
She turns her gaze to the Delta. Would you have done something differently?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake, then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
You're a smart woman.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
Her earrings chime as she nods.
You're no dummy yourself.
So am I.
A smart boy getting smarter. One basic term of reality at a time.
You are a patriot.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, ma'am.
Lieutenant puts down his notes and gives her a look. You have daughters.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother. And a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
She closes her eyes, then opens them again. What is this? Spread your hands.
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
She tilts her head. Keep guessing.
Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea.
Joyce raises her eyebrows. Are you saying I'm ruined?
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot.
She spreads her arms almost as wide. Time is not progressing now, so it seems like 2 a.m. is when time freezes?
Or two.
She looks around. What is Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
She looks up at the crumbling facade.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Who lived in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
From a dilapidated balcony, Cindy the Skull gives Joyce the evil eye, her red paintbrush held to her throat.
Wonderful.
Now what is that? Point to Cindy the Skull.
The girl in the old lady rags.
Yes.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infra-culture.
Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
I understand that. I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow.
I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next?
So I have no chance of succeeding this, but I'm going to try it anyway. What is reach for something fundamental?
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all. The doubt is fully formed in your head. The alien feeling persists. You just can't word the question yet. You have to complete the jamais vu thought first.
Oh, okay. Alright, that's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance.
And thank
Little
you.
that I know. Anything else?
Well, thank you. That's all for now.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez.
Yeah, that's me, Mr. Reasonable. Someone's gotta keep it sane around here.
The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience.
First, where is this Kingdom of Conscience?
It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times.
How do you bring about those circumstances?
Incrementally. Yawn. You'd get there faster with a little speed. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment.
But what about all the things that are wrong now?
Tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the Kingdom of Conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What rationality? What a fucking joke.
Wait, is the Kingdom of Conscience really about doing things? Or just preserving the status quo?
Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed?
That's a good question. Yes.
There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress.
Okay, but what's the Kingdom of Conscience actually like?
The kingdom is difficult to comprehend, and even more difficult to describe, partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The Kingdom of Conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual.
Sounds incredible. Alonzi, let's go there right now.
Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow?
Oh, right. Let's get there. Eventually?
That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.
So Kingdom of Conscience, -2 half-light. While I'm researching it. A heartache is powerful, but democracy is subtle. Incrementally, you begin to notice a change in the weather. When it snows, the flakes are softer when they stick to your worry-worn forehead. When it rains, the rain is warmer. Democracy is coming to the administrative region. The ideals of DeLorean humanism are reinstating themselves. How can they not? These are the ideals of the Coalition and the Moralist International. Those guys are signal blue. They're not only good, they're also powerful. What will it be like once their nuanced plans have been realized? Well, this doesn't have a penalty for researching. That's good. It says -2 empathy. Ooh. Alright, so someone in the comments did tell me that if I equip certain clothes, it can trigger thoughts. So that's 3. The only thing I haven't equipped now is that, right? Did I have a, oh, here we go.
The pockets of these new jeans are perfect for sticking your hand into. Makes you look cool, calm, and collected. As your hand enters the pocket, your fingers brush against something. Soft, yet crinkly.
Take the item out.
Hey, it's a chewing gum wrapper. It reminds you of the fruity juice of apricots. You should inspect it closer if you have time. Something about the wrapper's texture is familiar. Not familiar in a good way, you might say. There's pain in there somewhere.
So I kind of like how time freezes. It gives you I guess it gives you more time to kind of clean up your schedule at the end of the day. Well, depending on who's awake, because I know people go to sleep at, what, 9?
By the way, the raw materials were most likely exported from Seaguy, the apricot suzerainty, and processed in sur-le-clay into the apricot-flavored chewing gum loved by kids of today and yesterday. Something about it is familiar, and not only to your fingers.
Okay, let's equip this then. Alright, looks like that was it. Let's re-equip this. Alright, so the gum wrapper is something I can interact with. I'll probably hold off on that for now. Let's go back and talk to Gart. Well, in the next episode, when I get back to the whirling in rags right now. So I'm sure Kim wants to go to sleep. I'm sure Gart also wants to go to sleep, so we need to go talk to him, and we'll end the day. So I guess one downside to trying to conversate at 2 a.m. is that your thoughts don't progress. Because time isn't progressing. Oh, what's this? Interesting. It's a new thing back there to check out. Alright, I'm going to call the episode here. In the next one, we'll speak to Gart. And I guess to wrap up the day, we'll pay for our bedroom. And see if we can't go on to day 2. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.